Welcome to episode 5 of A Project About Nothing, where nonsense makes perfect sense. I hope you guys are tuned into the first 4 episodes. If you guys haven't, please tell me your top 5 TV shows of all time. If you guys tap and subscribe to my YouTube, you'll be able to see my list of my favorite top 5 TV shows of all time versus Associated Press's list, which we know they don't have a list of their own, but they're critically acclaimed top 5 versus my top 5. I hope you guys have tapped into that episode. If you haven't, please subscribe to my YouTube. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok as we post there daily. Pretty much sports, pop culture, things going on in music and in TV and movies. We definitely try to tap into all of those subjects. So make sure you guys tap in with us there. Episode 5, I wanted to lead off with the Teddy Bridgewater situation. So Teddy Bridgewater, if you guys don't know, was an NFL quarterback for about over 10 years and is now a high school coach down here in South Florida. And it says here he has been suspended for giving players so it says here, my bad. It says here Teddy Bridgewater has been suspended for giving permissible benefits. I'm not saying that shit right, so I'm sorry. Benefits to his players. The benefits include paying out of his own pocket for field paint, for pregame meals, for clothing, for Uber rides, and for physical therapy, all for his players, as well as funding a training camp for the entire team, totaling about $70,000 for the season. And according to all the laws in high school, and especially state laws, you're forbidden to do any such acts because it's not anything NIL related. So this topic kind of hits home for me just because I have been in the transition of watching players that weren't getting NIL money, and now college players are making millions of dollars, so they don't really need to chase going to the pros the way most college athletes used to have to do. So for Teddy Bridgewater to do this for his high school team, I mean, we're talking kids that either are in the inner city or may not, or maybe in the middle class. They're trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to get their parents out of certain situations. And football is one way for these kids to do that. And Teddy Bridgewater knows that. And for him to invest into his players, into his program, things like hosting a training camp, things like getting Uber rides for his players, things like food, things like clothing. These are necessities. These are things not just football players need, but human beings need this type of shit. So I really commend Teddy Bridgewater. Shout out to you, bro, for doing big things for your community, for your team. It's just sad that you're being punished for something where you're really trying to benefit the better half of the community that's really trying to make a name for themselves, especially on the football side of things. I know you're a head coach. Of course, your job is to get wins when it comes to the football side of things. But I know, especially in high school, that's kind of where you start building your habits. So you can take those things to college. And if they so happen to either get a Division I scholarship or even a Division II or a JUCO scholarship to be able to play at the next level, those habits get built through the reps and everything you do throughout your high school career. And Teddy Bridgewater is trying to set up his team to have most of his players, all of his players, have an opportunity to do that moving forward. So the fact that he's suspended for this shit, the fact that there's rules in place to prevent coaches from doing stuff like this, it's just wrong. It's just wrong, and I feel for the players because I'm assuming, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm assuming Teddy Bridgewater isn't doing this knowing that these kids can get that stuff from their parents. If their parents could provide Ubers for their kids, they would do it. If their parents had money for lunch or money for dinner, they would supply it for their kids. Again, I'm just assuming. I'm not going to say that I know that for sure. But Teddy Bridgewater decided to take this job so he can affect change. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that outside of the football lines. You can do that within the game itself. I'm not saying that he only needs to do that and then underperform as a coach. I'm not saying that. But he's actually taken initiative to do the best job he can, to be the best football coach he can be, but then also be a leader of men and let guys know that he's there for them and let them know that they can come to him if they have a situation, whether they don't have food, whether they don't have clothes, whether they don't have a place to sleep at night, whether they don't have a ride home. I mean, these are necessities that, again, not just football players need, but human beings need. So Teddy Bridgewater, a Florida native, a South Florida native at that, shout out to you, man. You're doing big things, and we support you on this podcast, in this community. We support you, so keep doing your thing the way you're doing it. we're going to move on to the next topic because the Kobe Bryant slander will not live on this fucking podcast. I'm sorry, it just won't. If you guys have been seeing religiously, Bleacher Report had recently posted their top 100 players of all time, and I'm going to give you guys the top 100 or the top 10 players on that list. And to me, it is just wrong on so many levels that they have this list and that it's put together this way. It's just sad. So the top 10 players they have of all time are Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Bill Russell, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, Larry Bird, Wilt Chamberlain, and Steph Curry rounds out the top 10. They have Kobe at 11. This list means that the people that are working at Bleacher Report need to get fired, whoever made this list. Watch this video and tell me that you can name all 10 of these guys you're telling me are better than Kobe Bryant, are better than the guy who made first team all defense most times as a guard, 18-time All-Star, 2-time Finals MVP, 2008 MVP. I think he's had 15 first team all NBA selections. We're talking about religiously, easily, the first or second best shooting guard to ever live, no matter how you slice it, whether you got Jordan over him or him over Jordan. It doesn't matter. He is religiously recognized as the first or second greatest shooting guard to ever live. And the fact is, the only reason people are diminishing his legacy, trying to tarnish it by putting him 11th all time, is because he's no longer here with us to defend himself, for people to talk good about him. It's very easy to talk bad about somebody when they're not around. And I've noticed that as well. And it's sad to see, because Kobe Bryant, not only do people revere him as a basketball player, but they copy the mentality. I mean, how many times have you heard people say, oh, I'm going to tap into that Mamba mentality? Mamba mentality? Where the fuck did you think that came from? That's from a player from 2001 to about 2008, had absolutely no business being in either a playoff setting, whether it's averaging 30 to 35 a game, carrying guys like Smush Parker, Lamar Odom, Brian Cook, Jordan Farmar, Shannon Brown, Sasha Vujacic, Arani Turioff. I'm naming guys that I can almost guarantee you 75% of the basketball community doesn't know half of the names I just mentioned, but then they'll still put Kobe at 11. Because why? Maybe because he finished 5-3 in the finals or 5-2 in the NBA finals, so they want to diminish him for that. Or they say he played Robin to Shaq's Batman in the first 3 championships he won. But if you go watch the tape and actually look at the numbers, there's multiple occasions where I can give you to show you that Kobe Bryant was actually the best player on that team or was playing the best at the time. I'll give you a prime example. 2000, game 5 or 6, on the road in Indiana, Shaq decides to foul out, Kobe's on a bum ankle, carries them, scores the last 10 points, and gets them that dub. And that series he played terrible, only averaged about 15 to 17 points against the Pacers. So for that series, for sure. But if you think about in 2002, against the Sacramento Kings, Kobe Bryant demolishes them. Against the San Antonio Spurs in 2001, Kobe goes crazy, back-to-back 40 balls. In times where Shaq is playing great basketball, but he's not going to be able to carry the load offensively the way Kobe can, because obviously he's just a little bit more agile. He's smaller. He's able to draw multiple defenders into the paint. And at the time, Shaq obviously was being guarded differently. He's the most dominant player to ever live. And I do think Shaquille O'Neal is a top 10 player of all time, so I'm not going to debate that. But Kobe Bryant should not be outside the top 10. Bleacher Report, do better. Because we're looking at Wilt Chamberlain. I understand the numbers, but Wilt Chamberlain played against an era where if Kobe Bryant was able to match up in that same era, I can almost guarantee you he might average 80 a game. And if Wilt was playing in the era where Kobe played in, which to me, again, between the era of 2001 to about 2009, that is the toughest era of basketball I have ever witnessed, ever. That is a perfect mix of physicality, of agility, of finesse, of shooting, being mentally strong, and you add all those elements into one era. That's that era. I mean, we're talking guys like Allen Iverson, Vince Carter, Ray Allen, Dirk Nowitzki, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Kevin Garnett, Ben Wallace, Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, Tracy McGrady, Ron Artest. I mean, Yao Ming. I can go on and on and on about the players that Kobe Bryant had to face, guard, and then, have to go score 30 against some of these guys. So it's not fair to the basketball community that really loves this sport to downgrade this level of greatness due to one simple fact. And that fact is that, unfortunately, Kobe Bryant is no longer with us, and it just hurts to see. So I just had to tap into that. But we're gonna shift gears real quick. We're gonna make this a quick episode, so I want you guys to tap in and make sure you guys give me your opinions on all these topics. But Drake is back. Shout out Drizzy Drake, man. I hope you guys had listened to his new song, What Did I Miss? Video dropped a couple days ago, hinting obviously to the new album dropping this year, Iceman, and multiple bars in that song. And my first initial thoughts from that song were, first off, I like how he's floating. He's floating really good on that. But something my girlfriend mentioned to me the other day, he's lacking that it factor. I don't know if it's happened since he decided to, drop a collab album with Party, and he's kind of been floating in that state of mind, or if it's been all the way back to last year's For All the Dogs, and how some people felt like that album was a little underwhelming, and it didn't really live up to the hype that people were expecting. Or if it's the obvious beef and battle that he had with Kendrick Lamar, to where I would say about 80% of the world would consider Kendrick Lamar the winner in that battle, with obviously the hit song Not Like Us leading the way. But has he lost it? I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing. I mean, I don't know if Drizzy's ever going to lose the throne when it comes to the mass media. He has 82 top 100 songs on the top 100 Billboard charts. That's more than double the next rapper, who I think was Lil Wayne. I think at 22 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Drake has over 80 songs that have hit number one in the top 100. Nobody's going to come close to that. I never see anybody coming close to that. Not Kendrick, not Weezy, not any rapper in the future. And that's just due to his style of rap. He is able to touch so many fans with the way he presents his music that it's very, very difficult to top that. But again, where is the love for, I guess, the hard-earned rapper, the hardcore hip-hop heads that really want to see him kind of tap into that Take Care, Nothing Was the Same, Take Care, Nothing Was the Same, and then If You're Reading This, It's Too Late. That album run, I think Drake gets a lot of celebration for that, and he should. I mean, he's a killer. When he's on the mic and he's floating, and he's got bars for days. But I think he needs to tap back into that, and I'm not sure if that single did it, because, again, I mean, I don't know if the throne, again, has shifted between Drake and Kendrick, because, again, when it comes to the numbers, nobody's going to top Drake. But if you're going barbershop talk, if you're going podcast talk, if you're going, oh, who's the best rapper right now, a lot of people are going to side with Kendrick just due to the fact that he's dropping bars right now. He dropped the hit with Not Like Us. GNX that is one thing I'll give Drake, is that Drake's album with Party Deck Next Door has transcended, or has aged a lot better than what GNX has aged. GNX is not in my rotation right now. I'm not sure if it's in anybody's rotation. I don't hear a lot of people going back to that album. There's one song I do revisit, which is Man in the Garden. Obviously, shout out Nas for that. But besides that, I'm not going back to that album as a whole. Drizzy's album with Party, I have touched back on that album multiple times. There's about maybe 5 to 7 songs that I listen to on a consistent basis. So again, that goes to the numbers part of things. Like, Drizzy's music resonates with more people, but inside the barbershops, inside the meat and potatoes of the hip hop community, I think that's what Drake needs to win back. He has the casual fan. He has the radio fan. He has the fan that really loves his music. He has all those people in his corner. But what he really needs to do is get back to those people that used to love his music for what it was, which is deep, meaningful lyrics mixed with, obviously, the melodic flows that he has. One of the best ever at doing that. And then, obviously, the beat selection. He has his producers with him. That's always going to be hit or miss, because you can't tell what the beat's going to be like until you hear him on the track. But again, I'm not going to say Drake fell off, but I hope he's able to find something that he didn't have in his last solo project, which was For All the Dogs, because again, I think the Party Next Door album was really, really good. It was a great collaborative album, but that was more of a vibe for Party Next Door to really collaborate with him and really take a great, great risk by coming up with a contemplation of multiple songs together. So I really, really love that project, but I don't know if Drake fell off. And if he did, you guys need to let me know how and why. But last thing I want to talk about today before I sign off on episode 5 is the NFL season is upon us. You guys, please make sure you guys tap in. I'm going to be coming out with picks on Instagram Live every week. Now, these are going to be my own picks. I will give you guys my anytime touchdown parlays every single week for the regular season. Obviously, do not mind the preseason. For the regular season and the playoffs leading all the way to the Super Bowl this year. So make sure you guys tap in with us when football is around. But the biggest story are the top 10 quarterbacks that have been religiously released. And I'm only going to touch up on the top 4. So the top 4, according to ESPN, have been Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. My only issue with that before I get off camera, besides the fact CJ Stroud should be in the top 10, the fact that he's not in the top 10 means I don't respect that list anyway. He should be in the top 10. But how is a guy who's a 2-time MVP behind a guy who has not won an MVP and has not made the playoffs in 2 years? Joe Burrow, you're amazing. You're one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You're a top 5 quarterback in the league. You're the only quarterback to beat Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game. Obviously barring any Super Bowl. Shout out Brady and Jalen Hurts for doing that last season. But in the AFC title game, Joe Burrow is the only quarterback to beat him in the AFC. So I don't have pressure with Joe Burrow. I don't think Lamar Jackson is getting enough respect for the things that he's doing, because last season he could have got the MVP off stats alone. He had better numbers than Josh Allen, but the narrative for Josh Allen, the fact that he lost Stephon Diggs and did what he did, won the East by a lot, and still was able to really capitalize and take the Chiefs all the way to the AFC title game, and obviously beat the Ravens in the process of that. I think obviously Josh Allen did run away with that MVP, and deservedly so. I think he deserved it. But let's not act foolish here as if Lamar Jackson isn't a fumble away from hosting a Super Bowl. Because last season, again, when they played the Kansas City Chiefs, although he had an abysmal first half, one of the worst first halves that Lamar Jackson has ever played, he had an all-time great second half. And I'm sorry, this was against the Bills, but he had an all-time great second half. And unfortunately, Mark Andrews dropped that tutty with a chance to win the game there. And again, it's not on Lamar all the way. But I just don't know how you can have a guy in Joe Burrow who had an excellent season last year, but started off 1-3, was really reeling going in. They needed a lot to try to make the playoffs. They weren't able to make the playoffs. So guys, let me know, who are your top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL? Because by far it should be Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Burrow. That should be the top 5, or that should be the top 4. And from 5 through 10, you guys can pick whoever you want. But Joe Burrow has no business being above Lamar Jackson in this ranking, whether you talk about numbers, whether you talk about legacy, whether you talk about impact, or whether you talk about just play on the field. Lamar Jackson, he's not head and shoulders above Joe Burrow, but he's a better quarterback, and he's had more success from a statistical standpoint and from an accomplishment standpoint than Joe Burrow has. We're talking about a guy who's made first team All-Pro multiple times, and again is a 2-time MVP. Shout out Lamar Jackson, South Florida's very own. We always repping you, bro. Shout out to Boca for coming out with an amazing product and an amazing man, and Lamar Jackson. So guys, make sure you guys tap in with us all football season. Again, we'll be live every Sunday to give out our picks and our anytime touchdown parlays. So this is a wrap for episode 5. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure you guys follow us on all social media platforms. Subscribe to my YouTube and follow us on TikTok and Instagram. That's a wrap. I'm out.